Good Monday morning. I am, of course, the host of Motivational Mondays, Genevieve Jones-Wright, and I am so excited about the conversations we are going to have this entire month because we are talking gratitude all of November. And my first guest is the only person that could open up this conversation because gratitude is her life. Who am I talking about? The one and the only, the regal, the beautiful, the passionate, the knowledgeable, the talented, the exquisite, Ms. Professor Starla Lewis.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's a joy to be here. And gratitude is my peace.
Yes.
It's how I stay centered and how I stay rooted in myself. So thank you for that amazing introduction. But know this, I'm just a mirror.
You are a mirror, and as you say, you are a reflection of
the divine.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I did forget one thing in your intro.
Mm-hmm.
You are a Hall of Famer.
Yes. I am a part of the Women's Hall of Fame and proud to say have been very active in the Women's Museum for, I'm going to say over 40 years. So I'm excited. I think that we as women have got to celebrate ourselves, but most importantly, we have to define ourselves.
Absolutely. So there are so many facets to who you are. But if I ask you today, who is Professor Lewis? What would you say?
I be love. That's it.
I be love.
I be love. It's all I know. It's all I've taught. And whatever else I'm doing or teaching or training, love is going to be the foundation of it because I believe it's the most powerful force in the universe. I believe that love is God. I believe that we are love, and not loved up, but love itself. And that when we accept that, we become love magnets. And so we always have friends. We always have people around us who want to be there because they want some love.
I love that.
Yes.
And that's why I love being around you. You affirm everyone who comes into your presence. You've led some exercises with some of the groups that I've been a part of, and you just radiate this positive energy that we need so much in the world.
Well, that's a perfect segue into my book. This little book I use with my students. I use it in trainings. Corporations have purchased it to start their board meetings. And it's just a simple way for people to affirm themselves. It's also a way, like if you're having a bad day, to move from your negative head into your positive head about yourself. And so I'm going to show you how you use it, and then you're going to introduce yourself to us with your affirmation. So you don't look at it, and you find a spot, and then you read both sides. For me today, it says, learn the lessons and receive the blessings. I believe that there are no bad experiences. There's challenging experiences with a blessing lesson in them.
So I will tell you that I have this on my coffee table.
All right. I hope you're using it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. So
and please share it with your family, friends, and especially children love it.
I got the same one as you.
Learn the lessons.
Learn the lessons, receive the blessings.
Absolutely.
So there's a lesson there for all of us. Thank you. Where can we get this book?
You can get it online. And I just can't tell you how people have said, and this I'm not stretching this at all, this little book has saved my life. Because we get so many negative messages from society about ourselves, each other, sometimes from family members, sometimes even from friends. And so I call it a thought eraser. It's a negative thought eraser.
No, that's really important because us having control over how we think every day, having control over our reactions to things that we can't control is a very powerful thing that we can do every single day to stay in a positive space and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. I have an affirmation that I use. Actually, it's also in this book, but it says, you can repeat it after me. I am brilliant.
I am brilliant.
I am powerful.
I am powerful.
I am limitless.
I am limitless.
I am love.
I am love.
And the reality is we're all those things. And we're all those things from when we are born into the world, but often nobody tells us. So we always are taught, what do you want to be? As if you aren't already are. And that's why I say I be love as opposed to I want to be love or I am. I be it. I was born in it. I was created in it. And now I have to, when I'm in the world, I have to learn to live it because the world's going to have other kind of messages to get in my love way.
Absolutely. So you said in the beginning that gratitude is your peace. Can you tell us what gratitude means to you?
Gratitude means to learn to appreciate all that you have. And I think that what happens is we focus on what we don't have rather than what we do. And if we focus on what we do have, we realize we're limitlessly abundant. For example, when I was 4, I woke up one morning, my parents had moved to California, and they didn't tell me. So I was like, what happened? And my grandmother's like, don't worry. They're coming back, and they're going to come get you, and blah, blah, blah. But I'm 4. I don't know where California is. And so I'm sitting there with myself, and what I remembered was, and I was worried, and my mother had taught me this song, and it was called, well, I can't remember the name of it, but the lyrics went, when I'm worried and I can't sleep, I count my blessings instead of weep, and I fall asleep counting my blessings. And that's the name of it, counting your blessings. And that song became my solace. It's what I used when I was afraid or when I was lonely or when I felt hurt. I would sing that song, and instead of focus on that hurt and stuff, I'd focus on the blessings. And my blessing at that time was realizing that I had parents who loved me. I had grandparents who loved me. I had cousins forever who loved me. So being left there meant I was still left in love.
And where were you left? What state were you in?
Springfield, Missouri. I was born December 20th, 1949 in a colored hospital in Springfield, Missouri. So once again, I was born during legal segregation, Jim Crow, if you will. I was born in a place where, as a black person, we had lots of limitations. But I had so much love around me, I never felt limited. And then we desegregated schools. And when we got ready to desegregate schools, we knew that there were teachers that didn't want us there, parents that didn't want us there, and kids who were just confused. And my great Aunt Kate, who was my best friend, born in 1880, lived to be 100, so that's where I get a lot of my wisdom. She set us all down, and she said, when you go to school, there are going to be some white folks who hate you simply because of the color of your skin. And they're not going to want to see you do well. But you're not to hate them, because hate only destroys the hater. She said some of them will do it out of meanness, but most of them will do it out of ignorance because they don't know who you are. And you're not to hate them. And it was like armor, that I put on. And then she said, no one can stop you from doing anything you want to do or being anything you want to be but you. Mm-hmm. And then she said, you got to be your own self-validation. Thus, I am my own self-validation. Manifested from those words when I was 5 years old. And it was the armor I put on then to not only maneuver through racism, but also sexism, because she gave us wisdom around that as well.
I'm so glad that you touched on all of that, because I think for a lot of people, when we have these conversations, people kind of just see the end result. They say, oh, well, that's Professor Lewis and she has all this wisdom and I'm sure she hasn't gone through anything. Mm-hmm. But going through all of the challenges that you faced, even from the time you were a little girl, you had that lesson of gratitude that you held on to keep you moving in the face of adversity.
Absolutely, I did. And I had Black people around me who loved themselves, and reaffirmed and affirmed for us that self-love. They had some of the issues that Black people still have today, living in the society that we live in. But somehow, in spite of those issues, they were able to teach us and give us that gift. I have cousins, and lots of them, and I find that when I look at them, I can see the goodness of the parents and the grandparents and the aunts and the uncles. I believe in extended family. But I tell my students, because many of them are away from home, I say to them, find a family and find a mama and find a daddy. And they're not replacing your family. They're extending your family, And it's the African way, taking people in to become kin.
Indeed. So, what would you describe as your life's passion?
My life's passion is, I'm going to tell you what my students told me. When I retired, and I really still teaching, so I call it repurposed. So when I repurposed my life, I asked my students, what is it that I teach? And they said to me in different ways, but I teach 7 different classes. So they said, you teach us how to see ourselves. You teach us how to love ourselves. And you teach us how to use love to address all the issues in our life. Well, I believe that the purpose of education is knowledge of self. And I believe that when we can really see how magnificent we are, then learning how to deal with our life issues becomes much, much simpler. When we think, I'm overwhelmed, I can't handle it, I don't know enough, we know because we're tapped into the universe, we're tapped into the creator. And so we have to know that whatever it is, whatever challenge we're faced with, we can rise to it.
Amen. What are you grateful for today in this moment?
Oh my, I'm grateful for breath because where there is breath, all things are possible. And I'm grateful that there's no such thing as age, that's a manifestation of our imagination. I am 72 years young, and I feel like the 4-year-old. You know, I feel like the little girl that drew paper dolls, and one of my dreams was to become a designer for paper doll clothes. And that didn't actually happen, but I ended up designing this coloring book because my daughters said, Mom, how come we can't find books with little girls who look like us? So I just started drawing them pictures. They were very demanding, so I started Xeroxing. That's how long ago it was. And then the next thing I know, one of my daughters said, Mom, you should make a book. And then that's how Sun Kisses came into being. I want people to know we have to affirm ourselves. I loved playing in a mirror when I was a kid. I always thought I was cute. I still do. But not cuter than. I think society makes us compare our cuteness, our beauty, our brilliance, and it's not comparable. We're divine originals, you see. So once I understand that, gets rid of envy, gets rid of jealousy, even to a great extent, competition. I'm not a very competitive person. I don't like playing competitive games. I like playing games win-win. I'm a win-win kind of person, you see, because to me, it's more fun. And the reality is, there's always someone who can do something better than you can do it. But there's always something you can do better than someone else. So we don't have to compare them. We just acknowledge our gifts and our talents and accept that and then be that.
So, you've already just given us words of wisdom, lots of jewels for us to take and hold on to. But I'm going to ask you now the $1 billion question.
Okay.
And that is, what advice would you leave with our audience today about keeping an attitude of gratitude?
My advice, it's rooted in love. Learn to truly understand what love is. Love is boundless, unconditional acceptance of self and others. And it reinforces all the things that we've learned about not judging one another, etc. But it also allows us to see ourselves in one another. First day of school, I tell my students, I teach because I love you. And you may not believe it today, but you'll know it's true by the time this class is over. I said, because I love you because I can see myself in you, and I love me. So learn to love yourself.
Whew, beautiful and powerful. I don't need to repeat it or try to summarize it. You've heard it. I'll underscore it. Love yourself. And remember what Professor Lewis said in the beginning, as she is a mirror, a reflection of the divine, so are you. So are you. So let's go forward in this week knowing that very thing, and that we are loved and that we be loved.
I be loved.
I be loved as well. Can't wait to give you a hug after this conversation. You all stay tuned, because next week we're going to be talking with a couple that is so grateful. And I'm not going to spoil it, but let me tell you, the adversity that they have experienced and have gone through, they are still going through, and yet they still keep their gratitude. You don't want to miss their story. So I'll see you next week on Motivational Mondays. Professor Lewis, as always, this has been my pleasure to commune with you, to engage with you, and to just be in your presence.
Thank you. Ditto.
Thank you so much for joining us for this week's Motivational Mondays. I'm going to see you next week, same time, same place, right here, with more inspiration to help you jumpstart your week. Now, if you found this week's conversation inspirational or motivational in any way, maybe you got a gem to carry with you throughout the day or the week, please feel free to like, comment, and share. Because remember, everyone can use some motivation. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'll see you next week.